In this video, we are going to react to Narc's I'm Leaving Vera and Never Coming Back farewell video, and then watch some clips from Pirate Software and the Copium Clinic, and we will break it down to see who was right and who was wrong. Of course, everything that I say in this video is my opinion and commentary on the current Ashes of Creation drama. Let's get into it. I'm about to watch Narc telling us goodbye. Essentially, okay, so Ashes of Creation, right? It's an alpha 2 right now. It's very much work in progress. It's a pretty fun game. I'm level 16. There's lots of people who are higher than me. Right now, the level cap is 25. Maybe let's just watch Narc and we'll break it down. Hopefully I don't get copyright struck.
Hey, what up, boys? So I make this video with quite a heavy heart, and it's not one that I thought I'd ever make. It seems my time covering...
Let's see what he has to say, and if he's being a big baby, we'll call him out, but let's see.
Ashes of Creation has come to an end, and from this point onwards, I will be distancing myself from the alpha, its community, and the developers. I'm sure there are many questions as to why I'm doing this, so today I'm going to explain why and set expectations for this channel's future. Now, this all started about a year ago, when Intrepid stopping their 250 pack sales temporarily in order to generate a huge amount of FOMO, or fear of missing out, as they continued to show live streams of the game's so-called development. I knew back then that miscommunication or straight up lies were being utilized in order to hide the truth. I've seen it before. What's he gonna do next? What's he gonna do?
Okay, so he's already pretty pissed. Was he pissed?
Is he gonna stop selling Alpha 2 keys and then reintroduce Alpha 2 keys?
Okay, context. So right, we're in Alpha 2. It launched, I think, in November. So we've been playing the Alpha 2 since November. The Alpha 2 key was originally $250. And I think what he's going to talk about, right before they launched Alpha 2, first they said, okay, Alpha 2 sales are open, $250. And then they said, okay, we're closing Alpha 2 sales. If you don't buy it now, you're going to miss out. And then they closed them. And then like October, right before the Alpha 2 launched, they brought back the Alpha 2 keys, but for cheaper. I'm sure that's what he's crying about right here. So, not crying about, he's complaining about, which I think is actually a justified complaint. Let's see.
Again, 2 months before the Alpha 2.
Yeah.
Is that what he's going to do next?
Yeah.
Holy shit, just like he did with Alpha 1. Do you guys remember that? Lo and behold, just as I knew it would, the pack sales came back not only in the form of a much lower price, but it also came in the form of 3 phases, delivering a very underdeveloped alpha release that had been promised to us these last 4 years under the price of $250. Leading into this, I had very little interaction with Stephen J. Sharif because I have no interest in actually talking to the man. This is why I didn't do
blah
videos for you, and I didn't feel like doing an interview or having information really helped me in that regard. I loved seeing the game be developed from a normal person's point of view, and I take pride in the fact that I am just a
normal person. You're
it's
so
a very
normal,
relatable
blah
and
blah
unique
blah.
perspective that no other content creator really has. My priority is making entertaining videos in a way that I find funny, poking at the state of the game and how much of a potential scam it could be. This has been a very successful format because it plays on the irony of a project that is charging $250 but has full control over the narrative, despite how ridiculous everything seems, showing amazing showcases that completely blew our minds. More on this later. This is YouTube. I work for myself. I am in no way paid or obligated to praise the game disingenuously. Ashes of Creation offers a referral program.
Okay, that's fine. Everything's fine so far. I don't see any issue yet. So he's like, okay, complaining about the marketing, complaining about the Alpha 2 key. Alpha 2 key, whatever. I think the Alpha 2 key is just a way to support the game. That's what I think.
And in my opinion, by using the referral program,
who cares about the referral
invalidates your
program?
Opinions of the game and systems due to the real money incentive that is offered through this scheme. Be it a pyramid, Ponzi, or multi-level marketing scheme, it doesn't matter. What matters is that the content creators using it are receiving real-life benefits by utilizing
the real-life benefits, I mean, obtain cash rewards on a quarterly basis after Ashes. So they are being paid. Okay, So it's true that okay. So if you do sign up for this, you are being incentivized to do marketing for them. That doesn't necessarily invalidate your opinion, but whatever. Let's see.
It. They profit off your $250, so of course they are going to bend the truth to incentivize you to buy in, which leads me into the current state of things.
Okay.
Personally, I don't think Phase 1 was in an acceptable state to test the game. It was sold to us as a networking test, yet now that the Phase 2 has launched, no networking strides have been made, and their so-called dynamic gridding still isn't implemented despite being told on multiple occasions it's coming. Initially, we were told it...
Okay, so two things. First, he's complaining about the marketing and how things weren't finished. And then second, he's complaining about how it's not good enough. I think his not good enough arguments don't make sense because it is just an alpha. But let's see what he has to say. Let's keep going.
Already exists.
Right now, dynamic gridding is in place. Right now, what we are doing is we are optimizing, fixing performance around that, and the current goal, which is on target, is that dynamic gridding will be online by the start of Alpha 2.
Okay, so that's just the goal. He says there's a goal that will have dynamic gridding online by Alpha 2. Okay.
Found out that it's coming in late Phase 1, then we're told that it's coming at the launch of Phase 2, yet here we are in Phase 2, and all they've done is delete 5 of their servers and claim they've doubled their server workers.
I don't think that's true. Okay, so now he's saying that they haven't done any of the stuff. I have seen network improvements since the start of Alpha 2, and I don't know. I think that's an unfair, just saying that all they've done is deleted. Anyways, so again, there's two arguments he's making. He's making a substantive argument of Alpha 2 is not good enough, okay? And then the second argument is the marketing has been misleading. I think that argument makes sense to me, but
now claim that they have 6K players per server, yet I find it hard to believe that there are even 6,000 players logged in at all. Because
so he doesn't believe
1.2 thousand kilometers squared, or 18 biomes, are supposed to host 8 to 10,000 players. So how can just one biome have 6,000? Unfortunately,
the way one biome can have 6,000 is it's overcrowded, which we did see at the start of Alpha 2 Phase 2. Anyways, okay.
The networking makes the combat, arguably Ashes of Creation's main strength, completely unplayable, and thus causes the test to feel tedious and boring. But it's just an alpha, right? I get that, guys. Trust me, I've been covering this game for 4 years. I'm well aware that it is an alpha. The state of the game is not what I'm concerned about. It is the seemingly deceptive communication that's going on between Intrepid and their testers.
Okay, there it is. Let's do that again. So he makes the 2 points right here.
That it is an alpha. The state of the game is not what I'm concerned.
Yeah. This is the summary. This is okay. I think this might be the summary of his whole argument right here.
One biome have 6,000.
So blah blah blah. Okay.
Unfortunately, the state of the networking makes the combat, arguably Ashes of Creation's main strength, completely unplayable.
Okay. So there's the first argument. It's not good enough, right? He's saying, hey, it's not good enough. That's one argument, and then, oops.
Thus causes the test
So that's the
to
first
feel
argument.
Tedious and boring.
Boring.
But it's just an alpha, right? I get that, guys. Trust me. I've been covering this game for 4 years. I'm well aware that it is an alpha. The state of the game.
So then he just kind of says the game's not good enough. The servers aren't good enough. It makes the combat unplayable, and he's showing clips of it being laggy. And then he says, but I realize it's just an alpha. Okay, so if it's just an alpha, you should be okay with the lagness, but let's keep going.
Game is not what I'm concerned about. It is the seemingly...
Okay, so he says he's not concerned about that. So then he complains about it, and then he says he's not concerned about it. But let's let him cook.
Deceptive communication that's going on between Intrepid and their testers.
Okay, I think this is valid. Deceptive communication. That's a legit argument, because the past 2 years they've showed, hey, this is where the game is at. And maybe they didn't explicitly say that, but they led the viewers to believe that the game was at a certain level, and it appears like it's not at that level. And I think I think that's where Narc makes sense here. Anything where he complains about the state of the game, that's stupid. I don't think it's valid, because it is just an alpha, and he even says, hey, it's an alpha. But the part where he talks about the deceptive marketing tactics, I think that is a legit complaint.
This lack of communication isn't just shared by me, but it's shared by everyone in my community and the majority of the other content creators, all of which straight up quit making consistent content, which leads me into the main point. Phase 2 is simply an unsuitable testing environment.
Okay, so that's, again, I think when he says Phase 2 is an unsuitable testing environment, I think that's not a valid point, I don't think. Because I guess maybe it's a valid point. I just disagree. I think it is in a good place, and I think it's fun. And anyways, let's keep going.
Even Sharif claims that this is a true alpha, yet they present the game in a way that is to be played like it's a launched product. We have to grind for 50 hours to even test anything, which doesn't make sense.
The testing is the grinding. So again, I disagree with his like substantive argument, but I think the marketing one is a good argument. So anyways, disagree with what he's saying here.
And is why testers are dropping like flies, because we already did this and tested it all in Phase 1. So why did they wipe us and add no additional systems for us to test? To me, the vassal system or level 4 nodes would be one of the main reasons to wipe the servers, yet the vassal system or level 4 nodes weren't even introduced this phase. And now they even claim that they're not going to wipe at all. They are instead just going to introduce new servers. So what's going to happen to those old servers? They claimed prior to Phase 2's launch that at the launch of this phase, the desert was going to receive an expansion.
Okay, so again, he's talking about lack of content, lack of progress. I think maybe Intrepid's progress of it being slow is frustrating. But anyways, I don't think that's a problem necessarily. But
I am just going to be talking about what's going to land on December 20th. We're going to go through what systems are going to land come December 20th. Let's talk a little bit about what we have coming up for December 20th. Right? The desert as well. The desert is probably going to receive a little bit more love than the tropics will, given that its assets are obviously a bit more developed than the tropics location.
This prompted people to finally expect some remnants of the desert showcase that was shown in 2022. Yet what we received was this, an empty wasteland that could be generated in Unreal Engine.
Okay, so again, that's the problem. The fact that they have a desert biome with no assets isn't necessarily a problem, except for in the context of 2 years ago, they did show a showcase of a biome, and again, the showcase is fine because it's saying, hey, this is what we will be, or this is what we're targeting to be at. But the showcase didn't say that. It led the viewer to believe that that is where they were at in their development process. Anyways.
5 in seconds, with the Winstead and Miraleth nodes being copy-pasted onto them, slightly rotated. The state of the desert has obviously sent a lot of people into a confused frenzy, with Reddit posts popping up expressing this concern. This isn't just isolated to me, guys. This is what everyone in the community feels. However, these posts are now being locked by Steven Sharif himself, and people are being banned by Steven Sharif himself for simply stating their concerns. There was a beautifully written post about this, talking about how the project is not the open development that we were promised, and it's Steven's reply to this thread that made me reconsider covering this game. He states that the desert showcase in 2022 was not real, and in fact just a show.
So it says that video is a preview of the desert biome. Many of the blah blah blah. Okay, so this is the issue. If they would have given that video as a preview of the desert biome and the assets created for the zone, many times in zone development before level designers have an opportunity to find. So if they would have given this disclosure at the time of the showcase, that would have felt much more genuine. But it felt like that they led the viewer to believe that's where the desert biome was in the development process. And then they use that to sell Alpha 2 keys. And I think that's the issue. All the other, the fact that
showcase using assets that exist, and actually it's pretty normal for development of negative backlash. But in this case shown, they made it
so it's this is the problem. they showed this, which is a large playable area, allegedly. It felt like they were saying, hey, this is what the desert biome is at. And you know, all this
about
cool
their
stuff.
Innovative tools to help them develop the world far.
And then this is where they are now. That's the problem. So the fact that this is what the desert looks like is not the problem. It's the problem that they communicated poorly. So that's the issue. Anyways, let's keep going.
Played the least interesting biome type tends to be a desert. And it's been always fun, as I've experienced in the MMOs I've played, is like, you know, how do they spruce up a desert? And one of the interesting things you're going to see in Alpha 2 is how the desert also adheres to seasons and has weather and has giant dust storms.
Yeah, sometimes Steven oversells things, and I think he's doing that right here. But that's not necessarily the problem. Again, the problem is that they led the viewers to believe that this is where they were at.
Interesting creatures that might not normally be present.
And I think, I mean, even Lazy Peon did a video where you could tell he was slightly annoyed. I mean, so, yeah, I mean, I feel like I know where this video is going. So, they've showed a few showcases. They've shown a showcase of the character creator. They've shown showcases of the desert biome. They've done showcases of the weather system. And the way they presented it was, hey, this is where we are in development. Even though they maybe they didn't explicitly say that. That's what it felt like watching those showcases. And I feel like Narc and to a degree Lazy Peon and a lot of the community, including myself, felt like that's where they were in the development stage, and they were just getting the underlying, you know, the node system in place. But it turns out they're farther behind or further behind than we thought.
That's going to be very interesting as well.
Which is problematic.
A little bit of the sand tornado capabilities with the dust devil kicking up both in the weather presentation as well as a little bit in the
Steven's like just cooking.
Desert reveal.
He's just selling things that aren't in, but again, they could be
that live across the
eventually.
Top of those dunes where you're seeing winds of sand getting blown across in the distance.
Sand, blah blah blah.
And to make those systems,
changing around the Tower of Carfin and Oakenbane Keep, it was not real. The beautiful environment and weather that was shown during the seasonal and commission showcases were not real. The amazing Freehold showcase that showed the farm
here's all the
animals
showcases I was talking about
were not real. It was all just a concept with a $250 price tag on it, with the promise that eventually these things will make it into the game.
Yeah, that's the problem, is they didn't say, hey, this is where we're hoping to be at. We haven't gotten here yet. They presented it as if this is where they were in the development stage. So, I mean, you could...
Maybe. How many of you chose to support the project based on the expectation that the showcases were what they had at the time you pledged, not what will come in 6 years from now?
That's the problem.
You cannot act like Chronicles of Valeria and not expect backlash from this.
I think this is a valid argument.
The main thing that is causing me to step away isn't the state of the game. The main thing is that whenever stuff like this...
Okay, so he said that. He said, the state of the game is not making me step away. It's the marketing schemes, which I think is valid, but then he shouldn't... He needs to isolate that as the real issue, because otherwise it's disingenuous. So, anyways.
Is brought up by me or any community member, the narrative is that it's just an alpha, and therefore it's okay. It's not okay. It wasn't okay for all...
Well, pause. So, it's just an alpha is okay that the desert looks like this. Just an alpha is okay that's laggy. Just an alpha is okay that it's all these issues with the game. The problem is the I don't want to say lying, because that implies intent. The leading the witness. They were a little too much marketing happened. They did too much marketing and sales. They needed to. Or sales. They needed to be a little bit... They needed to have a disclaimer saying, hey, this is not where we are. This is what we hope to be. because they were a little disingenuous in their showcases, and that misleading. The fact that they were misleading is hurting their brand. Again, I'm still supporting of it. I'm still happy. I'm having a good time playing, but it is problematic.
Previous Kickstarters to do this, so why is it okay for Ashes of Creation, for Stephen Sharif to sit there on Reddit and call me an uninformed content creator who casts illusions on people's fears and negativities when I've spent the last 4 years of my life doing the opposite? It is absolutely call me.
There we go. World team finishes those, and there's nothing nefarious. It is very easy to sit back as an uninformed content creating solutions that play on people's fears or negativity. It's easy to cultivate that. Focus on everyone's feel jaded.
An uninformed content creator.
I mean, he's kind of doing that. I think Narc's being a little bit unfair, but so is Steven in this post. They're both kind of being a little bit immature here.
Who casts illusions on people's fears and negativities when I've spent the last 4 years of my life doing the opposite is absolutely disconnected from reality. I simply do not accept the bullshit that is being spewed, and nor do a very large portion of this community. But for him to also prey on mental health as a way to defame and dismiss these concerns whilst locking and banning people who express the same is nothing short of irony.
Okay, now it's just getting personal. Okay, ignore the personal attacks. Who cares? Sure, Steven and Narc have beef. Who cares?
Help support this project these last 4 years because I thought I was being shown the genuine state of the game, not 4 years of Unreal Engine fakery. Now, let's not get this twisted. I do not think Ashes of Creation is a scam. There is a lot of potential here. They've put a fuck ton of work into this game. I had a lot of fun playing Phase 1. However, the fun came from the interactions I had with players, not the actual game itself.
Well, the game is a community with the players, so if you had fun with playing with the players, that means you had fun playing the game that they've designed. Anyways, all right, I think I've seen enough of this. So, yeah, 2 points. Whenever he complains about the state of the alpha, that's not a problem. I disagree with his argument there. But whenever he's talking about the deceptive marketing tactics, I agree. It's true. They should do better. Margaret and Steven need to do better. They need to be more upfront of where they are. I agree with that part of it.
Test itself was to watch. I advise to take the things that they say from this point onwards with a pinch of salt.
Why no
what they
clothes?
say isn't what they have or are doing. It is what they intend eventually.
Yeah.
Now, to conclude the video,
I think that's true. So that part, this is the argument that I make, that I agree with.
To take the things that they say from this point onwards with a pinch of salt.
Sure.
What they say isn't what they have or are doing. It is what they intend eventually.
Yep.
Now, to conclude the video, I just want to say that I'm obviously not going to stop making content, of course. I will continue. Just not with Ashes of Creation. A lot of you
Oh, he'll be back. He's being dramatic. He'll be back. All right, I think I've seen enough. We're good. We're good. Oh, this guy just watched it. Let's see what this guy says.
Is in the books now. I realize I didn't wish you all a Merry Christmas in my last video, so
cares?
I hope 34.
Blah, blah, blah.
So I probably have to explain. Festivus is a holiday where you get to tell people how you really feel about them.
The tradition.
We're going to start with my good friend Stakano. Q, I love you, buddy, but you pronounce this word wrong every time you say it.
Everything.
Next is Narc. This is probably going to be most of the video. You recently made a video about how you're quitting Ashes. More power to you. Your most viewed videos aren't even Ashes related, so I get it. But to start, there are 0 chances you don't return to Ashes.
I agree. He's gonna be back. He's gonna have a week. He's gonna be pissed. He's gonna be annoyed. He'll be back.
Ashes. We get it. You do this full time and choose to make your living this way. What I'm tired of seeing, though, is you use Ashes as your punching bag. What do I mean?
Sure.
Well, let's get a little surgical.
Okay, that's
about
weird.
a year ago, when Intrepid Studios announced that they would be stopping their 250 pack sales temporarily in order to generate a huge amount of FOMO.
You're treating your opinion like fact here. You don't know that's why they removed the sale of Alpha 2 keys.
I knew back then that miscommunication or straight up lies were being utilized in order to hide the truth. I've seen it before. What's he gonna do next? What's he gonna do? Is he again 2 months before the Alpha 2.
Congratulations. You predicted what Intrepid said in their live stream and on the website, that there was a chance they'd bring back the sale of Alpha 2 access.
Yeah. Yeah, I think, that's a good point.
Developed from a normal person's point of view. And I take pride in the fact using the referral program due to the level marketing buy-in.
I've never dropped my referral code. I don't need my audience's money.
Personally,
Okay, who
I don't think
cares?
Phase 1 was in an acceptable state to test the game.
People are on your server.
They claimed prior to
Wait.
Strides, how long was your queue for Phase 2? How many people are on your server?
I made this point. They did improve the networking, so him complaining about networking I think is silly. I think the only argument that Narc makes that is valid is the deceptive marketing tactics. Everything else is silly.
Prior to Phase 2's launch,
I want to see if this guy says the same thing.
And you're disappointed with the dunes. You then go on to juxtapose the desert biome preview with the dunes section of the desert, completely omitting this whole section of the desert.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think they have dunes in England.
Real. The amazing freehold showcase that showed the farm animals, housing and crops were not real. It was all just a concept with a $250 price tag on it, with the promise that eventually these things will make it into the game.
The freehold showcase displayed animal husbandry, farming, and housing. I don't understand what's not real about that. We have freeholds in game, but they're not fully implemented right now. Maybe that's where all of this is coming from.
Yeah, that's it. I mean, he makes some good points.
Say shit things about Steven several times.
What's Pirate
The
have
shit show
to
with
say?
Steven Sharif and Narc.
But I think Pirate Software sums it up best here.
Have you heard about the shit show with Steven Sharif and Narc a couple hours ago? Narc said some shit things to him.
Narc, to be honest with you, I've seen Narc say shit things about Steven several times, and I disagree.
Yeah.
The choices made on a game are not the choices necessarily made by one member of the company, even if they are a senior person in the company.
Even then, like, I don't think anything's going wrong with this game at all. But also, I've seen Narc talk shit on us. I've seen Narc lie about us as an organization, tried to convince people that we were trying to take New Ayla because it fit their political interests. Tried to tell everybody that we were going to destroy the game and kill the server because we wanted to take every node on the server. Talk very nicely to me in person on my face, and then go to other people in the back and talk shit about us and say that we were shills for the video game and, like, in Steven's pocket and all kinds of shit. The dude's two-faced as hell, and I don't really have a lot of respect for him.
Okay, well.
Yeah.
From the conversations we've had with Steven and with the wider Intrepid, all of the devs are really committed to delivering a great game, and there are people who just are making it personal that certain choices are about them or because of them, and they're just trying to make a good game.
They're just trying to make a good game, and they have been. And dude's, like, really stuck on the drama shit. And to be honest with you, if you want to run a community around that stuff, you totally can. But you're going to have to deal with it later, and it's going to suck for you. Yeah, I think it's pretty disappointing seeing how much,
sorry,
like,
I should be... Can't see his face. Sorry, dude. Sorry, Pirate.
kind of just super negative towards the devs, negative towards the game sentiment there is. Mostly because many AAAs won't tell you shit. They won't say a damn thing to you. Ever. They won't tell you what's going on. They're not going to tell you about the game. They're not going to respond to you in any way. And these devs have. The whole time. They put out a roadmap. They follow the roadmap. They're actually ahead of the schedule on the roadmap. Every time we do in-game events, Steven, the actual game director, shows up in-game and runs those events. It's been awesome, dude. Like...
Okay, so I think Narc's too far on this side, which is the bad negative side. I think maybe Pirate's a little bit too positive. So the state of the game is fine. Again, I'm playing it. I play it almost every day. State of the game is great. Big fan of Ashes. Big fan of what Intrepid's doing. The issue that I have, again, is for the past 2 year showcases, and maybe Pirate wasn't involved early on, so he didn't see that. The past 2 year showcases have been, again, I'm not going to say lying, but have been misleading in where they were in the development. Where they are in the development is totally fine. It's an alpha. They're in an alpha. Again, the issue is 2 years ago, they showed a character creator and said, hey, this is, maybe they didn't say that in these plain of words, but hey, this is where we're at. They showed the desert biome saying, hey, this is where we're at. They showed the weather system saying, hey, this is where we're at. At least they led the viewers to believe that, right? So anyways, that's the problem. That's the problem. But Pirate Software is right that where they are in the game is totally fine. Just let's not mislead, right?
Everything on this has been very, very positive.
Yeah.
Exactly what I want to see in the industry.
Sure.
Which is developers interacting with players.
Sure.
And if you find a relationship like that and all you do is shit on them, you're reinforcing developers not having any type of interaction with players.
That's true.
That's a horrible way for the industry to go.
Okay, a little dramatic, but true.
The devs never care. The devs never care because players treat them like shit when they do.
Okay,
stop it.
A little dramatic, but true. I don't disagree.
I get that you're saying you want to leave the Ash space, by all means, but you won't. There's going to be some
He'll be back.
Victimhood, kind of like the stuff that you did with Vladis. I mean, I was a budding content creator, and you called Bespoke a shitty podcast, which, I mean, hey, some people definitely do think that. But you didn't have to say it, and especially not back then. But before I get called a white knight, I need you guys to know that I'm an equal opportunity offender.
Okay, let's hear it.
So with that in mind, Vladis, you like my beard too much. Jamie, you finally made a video where you said what you think.
Boo.
Richie, the speed at which you pump out videos is concerning. Steven, you really know how to pick them, don't you? I'd recommend Nice Gaming as the preeminent Ashes creator now, but I don't want him to lose his mind too. Maggie, you're very sweet, but the way you mispronounced No One and Warrior's name twice is kind of a slap in the face.
Okay.
With Nice Gaming and is the Reno one else? Jamie Chaos, Roria, or Grey Forge, Jamie Chaos, Roria, or
they've been making content for years, and you just proved to them that you don't watch it or even know who they are.
Whatever.
Well,
who cares?
That wraps up our first annual Ashes Festivus.
What
I
about
hope you enjoyed it?
What about the marketing? You gotta address the marketing. You can't just ignore the marketing. Come on, make MMOs great again and make marketing more honest. Yeah.